Hey there, welcome back. Today we're going to continue our series of institutional investor fails by going to look at a property that I sold to one of the hedge fund buyers about 2.5 years ago, back in January of 2022. And today this property still sits vacant with nobody living in it. It's a great house in a great neighborhood. It's been renovated, and yet it's sitting here vacant. So, what's the deal with all these properties? Let's go check it out. I'm Tony. This is Run the Comps. Here we go. All right, so here we are in Richardson, Texas. We have this property here behind me, which, again, I sold this to a hedge fund investor about 2.5 years ago, and yet it still sits here vacant. You can see it's been somewhat renovated. We bought this house in January of 2022, and we bought this one off of the MLS for about $310,000. And we had projected after repaired values on this house of about $450,000. It's a great house in a great neighborhood. You can see there's some power lines back here. Not everybody likes that kind of stuff, but again, this is a great neighborhood. It's close to all the schools nearby, and just a huge mystery as to why this property is still sitting here vacant. Um, they've completely renovated it, and just sits here. This is close to where I live, and I drive by it every day, and I keep looking at it going, when are they ever going to sell that property? Well, let's go take a look around and see what's going on here. This property has pretty good curb appeal. The roof looks fairly new, and the exterior has been painted. And something that I noticed when I got up here close to the front door is that the city has left a notice here. It's a water department notice that says your account is seriously overdue. This property, it's showing that the account name is in Main Street Renewal. I'll tell you a few things about Main Street Renewal. Now, I never actually worked for Main Street Renewal, but I did work for the same parent company in another division. If you go out and you do a quick search for Main Street Renewal reviews, you're going to find stuff like this. Stay away from this company. They do not fix their properties and their customer service is terrible. Or, this place is nothing but a scam. You could end up losing both your home and your money. And here's a whole bunch of Reddit threads down here that's sure to take you down a rabbit hole. Or, like this one at the bottom, we've had multiple water leaks with Main Street Renewal, along with other issues. Well, clearly, there's a lot of folks out there who aren't exactly happy with Main Street Renewal and the way that they do things. As with one of the previous properties that we visited, this one had a lockbox code in the MLS description, but that lockbox code didn't work because I couldn't activate this electronic lock that they had on the front door. So we'll just kind of take a walk around the outside and see what we can see. This house, it was listed for sale originally at $495,000, and I think the listing came out somewhere around July of 2023. So that was about a year and a half after they purchased this home. It took them that long just to get it in such condition that perhaps somebody could occupy it. But the funny thing was that the description in that listing was for a lease property, but the listing was for sale at $495,000. But the description, that's funny. So, I mean, that just kind of goes to show how much Main Street Renewal is really paying attention to what they're doing. If they put a for sale listing out there, but it's got a lease description that tells you all about leasing the property, and yet it's listed for sale, and it's got a sale price, not a lease price on it. I mean, what's going on there? That's enough to get anybody confused. Now there is a sprinkler system at this house, but when the water service is turned off and you don't use the sprinkler system to water the yard, then you can see what happens here. We haven't had rain in a while, and you end up getting these big cracks in the ground around the house. The soil dries up, and it could lead to foundation problems. I know this property had some foundation work done when we first purchased it. Matter of fact, you can see right here one of the concrete cylinders. That's typically what's used for these foundation repairs. The guys will dig down under there and put those concrete cylinders down and then level the house using those. This house has a new air conditioner system here. That's fairly new. But you can see this ground is in really poor condition. It's separating from the house. They don't have any soaker hoses or anything. So this property is definitely suspect for more foundation shifting in the future if they don't do anything about it soon. Now, I'm not certain that they did any sort of sewer line or plumbing repairs here, but you can see that looks like it's an old cast iron style of a drain line there. And another one of the sprinkler heads, and you can see how that foundation is separating here. When you have foundation problems like that, and you have that old cast iron plumbing still in place from the 1970s or the 1960s, then that stuff is definitely suspect to break. If any buyers were to buy this house, I would definitely recommend a sewer line scope. Here's some more evidence of foundation repairs. You can see they have what we call breakouts. So that's where they dig down, they break out the concrete, and they dig down under there to put those concrete cylinders and help level up the slab foundation. Let's go take a look in here, see if we can get in the backyard. Oh yeah, let's see. So again, nice big backyard. This is again a great house in a great neighborhood. Look at here, it's been so long since they painted this house. It's already starting to flake a little bit again here on the fascia boards. So, oh, look at here, we got a little hose bib leaking. So maybe the water isn't turned off. Kind of hard to tell. I mean, it looks like it's on here, but yeah, because it's just dripping out of this hose bib around the back side of the house. Again, more breakouts around here on the back patio where some of the foundation work was done. I remember they did some foundation work on this property, and this right back here where these two windows are, this is the primary bathroom. And you could see there was definitely some shifting around this primary bathroom area. And these guys, when they did the renovation on this house, for some reason they came in and retiled the whole master bath shower. All new tile. I mean, it looked really great. And they did that before they fixed the foundation. So then the foundation guys show up and they jack up the foundation, make it level again, and within a week or two, that brand new shower had a huge crack going right down the middle, and they had to totally tear out that shower and retile it again. I mean, this one has just been a total comedy of errors. Had to retile the shower because they did that before they leveled the foundation. And I know in that master bathroom where some of the foundation was kind of crooked in the beginning, they had some breakouts inside the house that they had to do in there. And so again, when they lifted that foundation, the whole shower cracked. They had to redo it. It doesn't look like they've done any sewer line repairs here, so that is definitely suspect. If they did any foundation work and didn't get a hydrostatic test when it was done, then there could possibly be cracks in this sewer line that could still cost thousands of dollars to get repaired. So not sure, again, what the status is on this house. I mean, it's clearly unsold, not listed for sale, not listed for rent. It looks like maybe their intent was to possibly list it for rent, but when they put a listing out there for sale at 495, I think it eventually got reduced to 445, which is right around where our projected after repaired value was expected to be. But property sat on the market for about 190 days and went unsold or unleased as well. Not sure what they were trying to do. If they wanted to do it for sale and for lease, you could do two separate listings for that, but they didn't do that. They just put a for sale listing out there and put the for lease description in it. And so no wonder people are confused and the property just sat here. So there's no telling what the next step is for this, but it seems like to me they would want to get this one either occupied or sold and off of their books sometime soon. Just doesn't make any sense. What a total fail here. Well, not much to see here, so let's head back to the office and run the comps on this one and see how that $450,000 after repaired value holds up today. We're going to look at some of the comps in the neighborhood, see if properties have been selling at or around 450, and then come to a conclusion as to what a potential list price or sale price for this property could be. We might also take a look at some of the rent comps around here and see what this property might rent for should they decide to put it up for lease. So let's head back to the office and see what we got. When we look at the previous listing of this house, we don't really know whether they meant to list it for sale or meant to list it for lease. So we're going to run the comps and look at the values both ways and see what kind of conclusion we come up with. So let's check it out. First, let's take a look at some of the resale values in this neighborhood. I've marked off our submarket territory and filtered the search by square footage so that we can find homes that are close in proximity and similar in size to the subject. Now, the first thing that I noticed here was that this seems to be a pretty balanced submarket right now with a fairly equal number of sold comp and pending sales and active listings. After previewing some of these, let me show you some of the ones that really kind of caught my eye and seem fairly representative of the subject property. First, let's take a look at this property that sold for $459,000 after only 10 days on the market. You can see it's been through the renovation treatment here. Got some virtual staging, nice kitchen. I think this is a good comp right here at $459,000. And then let's see, there is another pending sale over here at $485,000. This one may not be fully renovated, but it's been very nicely updated, well kept. The kitchen really isn't blown out, but it's really nicely updated and has a lot of appeal to it. So again, another nice comp. I don't typically like to use pending comps, but when there's very little sold comps to pick from, then sometimes we could point to the pending comp and say that those are good. Here's another pending sale at $519, and this one's had a full-blown renovation, it looks like, and it hasn't been on the market very long either. I think this was single-digit days on the market. So another good example of values in this neighborhood. And then you've got some active listings. So these would be your active competitors at 443, 425, 520. And so with that, I think those comps tend to support a list price like the property was previously listed at, somewhere between $495 down to $445. When we look at the lease comps and the leasing activity in this area, you can see there's not quite as much activity because this is a neighborhood where most people tend to want to be owners rather than renters. So there's just not a lot of rental activity going on over here.
But one of the comps that really caught my attention on the leasing market was this one at 2850 per month. It's a pending lease. And you can see this house really isn't nearly as updated as some of the sold properties, but still nice and clean and ready to go. And at 2850, it looks like somebody's probably going to move into that one here pretty soon. And I think here's another good comp right here, just a few blocks over. This one's slightly larger in size at $29.99. So basically $3,000 a month. You can see it's got a pool. It's got some renovations on the inside as well. So kitchen and bathrooms, everything's been renovated. And I think those two comps are really representative of what our subject property could lease for on the open market. I would say somewhere probably around $2,900 to $3,000 a month. Now that we've run the comps both for sale and for lease in this neighborhood, it's easy to see that if these investors would just get off of their butts and list this property one way or the other, they could probably get it sold in no time. I mean, the days on market in this neighborhood are extremely low. It's a very desirable area. And same goes for leasing. I mean, they could probably lease this house in no time for $3,000 a month, but if they put it up for sale, they could list it somewhere between $450,000 and $500,000 and probably get their price in a very short amount of time. And that price would be at or over their originally projected after repair value. It could be that they have a perfectly good reason for keeping this property off the market, but for most of us, this sort of business strategy just doesn't make any sense. And it's crazy to see that they're just sitting there doing nothing with this house when there's a lot of buyers out there in the marketplace that would probably jump at it. Well, anyway, I'm Tony. This is Run the Comps. Thanks for joining me today, and we'll see you next time.